really good. The whole defensive staff and Braves, but a lot of alignment, everybody on the same page, collaborative approach. Everybody's got their ideas. But yeah, I think communication's been great.
Just second question is just Vinny. How has he helped you guys out in the linebacker room now that you have a little bit more on your plate?
Yeah, Vinny's been a tremendous help. He's going to be a tremendous football coach. He is a tremendous football coach. It's definitely more on his plate now, and it's helping us out, and the guys respond to him well. He's been great, and he's only onward and upward. So
awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How much fun are you having in this role? There's a lot of pressure, but I know as a coach, it's probably obviously something you've probably wanted to do, I imagine, right, for a long time, like call plays in some form or fashion in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I just have fun coaching the guys. I don't know if this, whatever it is, added responsibility makes it any different. I enjoyed it before. I don't think it changed it at all. Good?
I have a non-football question for you. Do you have kids?
No.
All right. Well, I've heard Vrabel is really big on family.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
From what you saw in Tennessee to now, how do you think that helps guys on the staff? And what does that do as a head coach who really, I guess, sometimes pushes guys out of the building?
I would say for players and coaches, knowing that, the head coach, your boss, however you want to look at it, your boss, your whatever, that he cares about your family, knows that he cares about you as a person, and makes you want to work for that person much more.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, like a lot of loyalty, I think, with Vrabel and guys.
Yeah. You always have his support, even when he's hard on it and he challenges you. He's supporting you in the end, and it's good knowing that you're out there by yourself. There's a lot. It's a very tight staff, and I think he creates that culture.
Yeah, probably a reflection too of all the guys who followed him
here. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
What have you guys seen from the Saints on film? What are you doing to prepare for their offense and what some challenges they might pose?
Yeah, they do a great job of game planning week to week. Now I'm pretty sure, I don't know how accurate the stat is, but I'm pretty sure there's only 2 times in Kellen's career where he wasn't a top 10 offense, scoring. And he does a great job. They're extremely fast offense. They got some juice going right now. I think the quarterback's gotten better week to week. He's a talented player. He was talented since he was in high school. And they bring a lot of, good schematic, how do I say it? They test your scheme very well. And we just got to be on point. We got to be coordinated. We got to over-communicate. And we just got to make sure we're on our details, our technique, and our fundamentals to stop an offense like that.
I feel like sometimes the record doesn't reflect it. Do you feel like that's kind of a case with the Saints where their record doesn't maybe show how challenging of a team that they can be? You guys shouldn't overlook this opponent?
No, I don't think anybody is. And it's the NFL. Everybody's good.
Yeah.
And they've shown a lot of good stuff on tape. It's a good offense. It's a good team. It's a talented team. They're somewhat in the same situation as if there's a new regime, and sometimes, it takes a couple weeks to figure out where you're going with that. But I think they're settling in nicely, and they're figuring out how they're playing next to each other, and it's going to be a tough challenge.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Because teams are so there's a lot of this zone plays and these outside plays that really are supposed to stretch and then cut. And when you box it sometimes, that allows them to have a lane. But if you continue to make it bounce, and so, spill, up and in, all that type of stuff, and continue to go lateral, sometimes that benefits the defense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Does that challenge the offense, too, when they don't know where you're actually trying to set the edge?
Yeah, I think that, if you're always doing one thing, it's no different than if you're always playing man-to-man, if you're always playing cover 2. If you're always doing one thing, these offenses now adapt. So it's no different than setting the edge. If they always know who's setting the edge and how we're setting the edge offensively, they will use it to their advantage. But if we're able to switch that up a little bit, I think that could be to our advantage, or we think that could be to our advantage.
Yeah, so Craig, who looked like he had a good one in the game on Sunday night, Harold, I think, went inside and
Yeah.
it was like held it to like 6 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though. Like I said, it's different from what we're used to seeing, but
Yeah.
I like it because
Yeah.
it lets you guys penetrate on
Yeah.
the inside, maybe make some plays on
Yep.
in the backfield. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
that information.
We
Yeah.
talked about the swarm on that one where Allen kind of pitched it over to Shaquille.
Yeah.
And half your team
Yeah.
tackle it. It's just, to me, that looked like this is what you guys have been telling us that you want to do. Where
Yeah.
it's 5 guys on top of the ball and 3 more right over them
That's
ready to
it.
get into it.
Yeah, that's the picture that we like, and we've had that a couple games. We had it in Pittsburgh, one rep, and you just want to continue to show them our identity, right? And our identity of full tilt to the tackle. There's no better illustration of it than having all 11 guys in the tight copy of the film, and that's what that play was. And we hope to have more than just one play a game like that.
As we watch more of your safeties, it just seems like there's a lot on your guys. Like they are in the box, they're chasing guys in coverage. I mean, it's just, especially for a rookie like Craig, who seemed like his physicality is starting to come out a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
is my impression. But what's the process like of trying to keep them, keep it manageable for
Yeah.
rookie getting in the NFL where there's a lot of responsibility? It seems
Yeah.
like.
That's a great question as far as what's too much, right? Too much put on our plates. And I would say the biggest thing that we look for in our safeties is versatility. We try not to have a strong safety, free safety. We just like to have versatile guys that can do, just like you said, be in the box, be deep, play man, do all those things. So when you're talking specifically about Craig, you could see his versatility at Cal. And I feel like he's getting comfortable more and more each week, and it's not unlike anybody that's new on the job, right? His job is just in front of 60,000 people every Sunday. But proud of the way that he comes to work consistently. He really is trying to master the details, and obviously he's not there yet, but he is doing a great job of not making the same mistake twice. He's willing, and he's continuing to be a really good communicator, and that's something that we continue to try and impress on all the safeties, that our job first and foremost starts with the pre-snap communication and the ability to understand that the picture is going to change, and when that picture changes, we have got to communicate something to our defense.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a position that requires a lot, but it's also a position that I feel like Craig is doing a solid job in his first we say 5 games.
Yeah, I would just ask you about Jalen last one. I mean, guy who wasn't, big player here initially last year. You guys kept him around. It seems like he's around the ball a lot these days. I mean, he's making plays. Just what have you seen from him when, I'm sure you probably watched him in the spring and the summer. We're going to keep this guy around and you bring him back. And now he's started playing a huge role for you guys.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about the ball, I mean, while maybe his ball production hasn't been what he'd like it to be the past couple of years, he's a former wide receiver. So he actually came into Cal as a wide receiver. So he's got really good ball skills, and he's really been working on that since we started OTAs. Like, he's understood that his ball production needs to increase, and so he's worked on that after practice, all that type of stuff. And he's credited for 1 interception right now, but he's had 2 taken away from him. He had a pick first third down in Miami. We had a penalty, and then he had a pick last week. We had a penalty. So those don't count, but that does show that he's around the ball a lot. So again, just happy at how he's had a little bit more ball production. Feel like he is able to communicate as well, playing with some of the physicality that we want. And, again, he's growing too. This system's new, but he's growing and excited about his development.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Does he strike you as anyone you worked with before? Comparisons are like kind of muddy waters, but, you work with a lot of guys.
No, they all have quite different personalities. Rex is obviously Rex, and Sutton and Patton, and all those guys have been. I'm trying to think. No, not he's the youngest by far.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Right.
Is there any Joe Barry? No, he's different, but in a good way. No, I'm not saying different, but
Yeah.
I've worked for older guys, but he's doing a hell of a job.
We've seen the defensive tackles drop into coverage a few times this year. Are you trying to give them like one of their own Vita Vea moments where they can do the seatbelt celebration? What's their strategy behind that?
Just giving a different look for the offense. Each week we get a deal from analytics, 3-man rush, 4-man rush, 5-man rush, 6-man rush, and just trying to give them different looks. You got to really disguise things with these quarterbacks and younger quarterbacks even last week, but it's just something different to give them a different look at. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm Karen.
I'm Mike. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Best of us.
Oh, please. Have you seen teams either double teaming your tandem in front? And has that allowed some of you guys on the edge a little more freedom?
It just depends on who we play. Same thing. Inside they're getting doubles. It depends on where the slide's at. It goes back from the back to the back, away from the back. CAB, CTB. Chips are a big thing. These days it seems like every week we're playing a chip team. But yeah, I mean that's. You say the best thing about being inside sometimes rushing is you don't get those chips, and so it kind of goes week to week on what kind of scheme we're playing, and I'll tell you what, it helps when you have two guys that can rush inside. It does. You can build a lot of things up front. You can do a lot of different things, but it does. It helps on the edges. I think vice versa when you're getting a lot of chips outside. It's what scares me is other rushes he's had in the past. You start getting chipped, they'd switch with guys and start rushing inside. But it gets some more one-on-ones. But it goes both ways.
Mike, we hear a lot of coaches talk about using the analytics with the tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Balance of the two. But when it comes to the numbers, like what's the most important part to you when you start in on an opponent, on Monday late or Tuesday?
I love analytics and I love the tape. I love both. You can't go just one way or the other. You got to take advantage of the analytics. But it just depends on what I'm looking at. If it's the run game, obviously we'll look at the personnel and what tight ends are in the game, what running backs are in the game. There's so many things they can pull, 2-point, 3-point stances. I mean, formations. I mean, anything you think of chips. Like, can you just send me all the times they've got chips? And running backs or tight ends, running backs. I mean, you can go on. It's almost the death of me because I love film, and so you can get down a wormhole with this stuff. But it makes your job a lot easier as a coach. But there's definitely a lot of things. Protections, you get it broken down by protections. I don't want to give out all my stuff. I'm sitting there thinking like
off camera.
Yeah, off camera. But there's quite a bit of things that you can splits. I mean, you name it. You can get a tell on a lot of things.
You played a lot of teams at chip. You also played a lot of guys who get the ball out quickly. Spencer Rattler's another one of those. What's the message to the defensive line? I'm sure it's very frustrating when they can't really get there, but what do you tell them to kind of keep them engaged?
Don't worry about sacks. Sacks will come. You got to worry about affecting the quarterback. And that's the biggest thing. Everybody thinks I don't believe in sacks. It's not. I think that's one of the biggest misleading things that it's ever happened in pass rush, saying, a guy had a good year because of his sacks. So a guy had, 9 sacks and 70 pressures. He didn't have a good year, but if he had 10 sacks and 30 pressures, he had a good year. You know what I'm saying? So that's such a big deal. There's a lot of team guys that just play run every snap, and they're playing pass every snap and they're running the ball and creating seams and it could be a bad deal. So just stick with our job. They'll come, affect the quarterback. That's the message saying today, because the quarterback does get rid of it quick. And so we've got to do our job, getting the hands up. There's other ways we can disrupt the quarterback, but then just get the sack. But I do love sacks. It does change the game.
On the practice squad, how have you seen Braden Swinson kind of develop these first 5-6 weeks of the season?
I really have. I think he's trimming up. He is working, man. These last 3 weeks, I actually told him before practice how proud I was of him. He's really developing, and guys like that, younger guys, it takes time, and when they get in a rhythm and a routine of things and feel how the NFL is, it's different, obviously, than college. But he's had a really good 3 weeks. He's really starting to grow up and blossom into a good football player.
I know pass rush or good pass rush typically helps out the quarterbacks in the defensive backfields in terms of holding up plays. But have you seen a reverse impact with having Christian Gonzalez back there, allowing your guys a little more time to perhaps impact it? Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, I've always said that, the better the rush, the better the coverage. Better the coverage, the better the rush. I think both those
They merit.
they merit. But when you start talking about really good corners and elite corners, you can do some different coverages and stuff where the quarterback does hold on the ball more, But I do believe they work together, that they can help each other out. We're better up front, and we get the quarterback. They don't have to cover for very long, And so they both definitely work together. You're on fire today.
How did you feel about the edge guy's ability to contain Josh Allen last week, and how different is the challenge with Spencer Rattler?
I think Spencer. I mean, he's not as big a threat as obviously as Josh is, but he can get around. He can scramble. He can move. He's got a little limp leg move that he'll get you on. I think these days in the NFL, every week's a challenge. With these quarterbacks, you really don't see the, Peyton Mannings or even Brady of the world. That beat you other ways. But you've always got to be ready to have rush lanes, and I thought we did a decent job. He got out a couple times last week. That's almost expected when we kind of play those type quarterbacks that, when you're rushing forward, and there's two open gaps, and these guys can get out pretty quick. But we've all, this week we talked about it. We've got to be alert for him when he's getting out, and that's just kind of the air that we live in.
Guys, we got one last question. Kind of going back to analytics, we kind of break it up. I know, like PFF, for example, breaks it into sacks, hits, and hurries. Hurries, I feel like, can be very subjective. So for you, do you kind of categorize them similarly, and what would you consider a pressure that's not a hit or a sack?
What I consider pressure? I know they do it by the distance you are to the quarterback. They have beat defender. Some the same way I look at all of them. Like when I look at that and I look at a rusher, like I want to see, when he has a one-on-one by himself, no chips. That's the thing about when they look at these win percentages and this stuff is, it could be a screen. They count that as a pass play, boots, and all these other things. We're getting chipped, we're getting doubled. I want to see a one-on-one and what this guy can do. I kind of wish they would do that, on it. But for me, it's did he force the quarterback to go to a second or third read? Did he move him off of his spot when we're trying to move him off of his spot? Obviously hitting the quarterback's easy. But there is. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect that they can find. Always go back and look and see. But I just want to see how they do in their one-on-one situations. Because you think there's a lot of them in the game. You see, he's got 28 rushes this game. When you really break it down, then they had the first and second down play passes and all that stuff. So when you just pull all the pass plays and say, all right, let's see his one-on-ones. I mean, you'd be shocked. It goes 5 to 7 plays. That's the real number. And so that can be misleading, the win percentages, all that stuff. Everything can be misleading. And we said earlier, guys are just playing pass on every play, right? That's real. And this still, we're not going to do that. We don't do that. And so, we're team defense. But there's just so much really when you look at the analytics and you look at what's going on around the league and pass rush. There's more to it than just what PFF and stuff shows. And I love PFF.
Same.
What's next? Next last week.
I could throw a rock and hit from where we grew up. In the house she lives in our area. But the town's not much bigger than this room, so we're good there.
Start off with the fact we didn't see Christian out there. We saw him on the field initially, and then it looked like he went down to the lower field to kind of get some work in. Can you kind of clarify where he is with these health-wise at this point?
Yeah, he's on a plan with Braves and Frank with Jim in the training room, and it's kind of a warm-up to early portion of practice just to do more because some of the stuff is special teams or different things where it's like a jog through, walk through, and it's for him to just be able to get to the pace that he can go at to be able to get out there when we are in the speed periods of practice.
What this challenge with the Saints' speed seems to stand out when you watch them offensively. What is the coaching point with your guys on how to handle their speed?
I think the big thing is every week there's players on the other team, whoever you play good enough, that if we're not on our P's and Q's, they're good enough to beat us. And in this case, their strength is their ability to run away, take the top off the defense, and it's just the understanding of, that's not going to be every play of the game. But the ones that are, we've got to be on it. However that is, whatever the communication is, the situation is, we've got to be on it so that now we either take away or limit an explosive, or now we put them in a situation where they're operating hopefully behind the chains. So that for us, we always have to limit explosives. But in the case of these guys, that's, Chris Olave, I remember being in Tennessee, big play that he had, Rashid Shaheed, a big play that he had. And it's like, you could let him get going down there in the dome, then you're asking for a long day. So that's really the message every week, but this particular week they've got guys that, like you said, can take the top off and cause some issues.
With Shaheed, obviously his speed is a big factor there, but what else allows him to get open on those plays downfield?
I think they've got other good players. I mean, you've got Kamara that you got to deal with. You've got Olave. A lot of people try to double Olave. You've got the tight end that can get open. You've got Brandon Cooks that's a veteran, been doing it for a long time. So he's not the only guy out there. But the quarterback, when he sees, I got my one-on-one shot over here and put the ball up, and he's got great ball skills. He's able to track the ball. And it's a lot harder than people think to run that speed and also track the ball in the air. And he's able to do that. He's got good body control, and he has the trust of the organization.
We've seen Charles Woods more involved since he came in here. What's he been doing behind the scenes to earn those opportunities?
It's really the questions, the participation in the meetings, the extra time that he spends. And he's here all the time, whether he's working on his body, whether it's coming to meet with us, whether it's asking questions. And he's a sharp guy. He's a guy that he was really able to, the day he stepped foot in the door, operate as a nickel, operate outside that corner. And, it's at that particular time, we were down a couple of guys, so we needed him to be able to step up and do that. And because he did that then, it's helped him now to where he can get out there and get some reps. And he's developed confidence and continue to earn a role. And he's just a great guy to have around, too.
What do you see from Rattler's going to be his 12th career start? And just as you look at the film, maybe like chronologically from the start of the year to now, do you see anything changing, or does he look more comfortable?
That's the thing that I see. It's actually, for me, we have a little bit of history because I was at the Senior Bowl a couple years ago when he was down there, and he was the quarterback on our team. And I went down there really with no opinion of any position other than the DBs. And it was like, man, this guy is a lot better than people realize. I mean, that was my first thought, was he's out here operating like a quarterback. He was going through progressions. He had the moxie and the presence about him, like a bunch of guys that he didn't know, to be able to be a leader and to carry himself in that way. And then watching him now, it's if he has time to progress and go through, then he's going to find the open guy and he's going to deliver an accurate throw to him, and then he can extend plays. And that's the other thing. I mean, that's like every week we say that, but if you just look at the 40 time from the combine, you think this guy's not very mobile, but he's a lot more mobile than you think. He's a tough and heady guy that is good enough to go out there and deliver the ball where it needs to be, which is why we got to be on our job.
How about that technique from Marcus on that PB, the interception, but the PBU on Coleman? And it made me think about you and Kenny Moore last year, maybe, like, that you've worked with a couple really good slot corners.
Yeah, and Roger McCrary in Tennessee also. Sorry to cut you off.
No, I like that. You add to it, so thank you. What do they have that makes them
It's an instinct. It's the ability to be in that position. That takes from the recognition at the line of scrimmage, understanding the release, understanding who it is in that position. At that particular one was Keon Coleman in the slot, and we kind of felt like Keon Coleman in the slot, he's probably there for a reason. But then it's the athletic ability to get to that spot, and then after that, it's really savvy and instinct. We drill it, we rep it, but in real life, real-time speed, the coaching points, like he's not remembering that day that we talked to. It's like, I'm in this position. I feel the receiver's demeanor and his mechanics. I recognize he's about to go up for the ball. I've got to look back. I've got to get my long arm up to go stab through the pocket. Now, we do work those details all the time, but getting to that point is a lot of unique ability, physical ability, and then the instinct and the savvy to recognize what's happening before it happens.
I know a lot of slot corners also have talked about the fact that if you're on the boundary, you can use the sideline to your advantage. If you're in the slot, you're kind of, you got to worry about both sides as opposed to just one side.
You're the traffic cop on a two-way street. It's a little different than Route 1 at the end of the game where everybody's got to go one way. That's a good. But that's the thing, is those guys, they've got to be able to defend a lot more space, and it's really, that's where it becomes the game within the game of your weekly prep or in game, of understanding who it is in the slot, because you see a lot of different people show up there. And then it's also, okay, what type of release? Is it 2x2? Is it 3x1? Is he outside release burst? Is it outside release hesitate? Is it inside release? Is it stack? All of those things that we talk about and we train and we drill. But again, I go back to in the moment, it requires, you have to have all that, and the preparation and details matter. But I'm 51% thinking this is, and I have to react that way, because if I'm late to react, I'm gonna be late to the play that I can make.
We saw Christian targeted a couple times late in the game, not a lot of the receptions back in the end zone, and then with the pass breakup. What did you see from him on those plays as well?
Really on the one that was the play extended forever, it was like, man, thank goodness he's back there, because the guy came down with the ball. I mean, he ran out of real estate, but came down with the ball, and You know, that's to be able to stay connected, to be able to not foul in that situation, and the other guys too out there in coverage, because Josh Allen is like a movie to be out there for a play. But it's just, again, it's a unique ability and it's unique poise. You can't panic in those situations, in any situation, but particularly those. On the play that he made, that was, to me, vintage Josh Allen. And even though Gonzo's not super old or has been in it for a long time, that was vintage Gonzo. Just showing up when his team needed him and being able to get the ball out to force a field goal try rather than conversion or continue to drive or put it in fourth down where they could go for it. And huge play in a huge moment.
Coach, what's a plaster drill?
So it's, if everybody in this room is covering me, basically it's like as I walk in here, everybody comes in here to ask me wherever I go. Once I've defined myself, if it's man coverage, I got my man. But in a zone, once a route has declared in my zone, now when the play breaks down, I've got to stay with, it's now become man coverage for me. So that could be on a running back, that could be on a tight end, that could be on a receiver, but I got to run with that guy because as that play breaks down, I've got to have the mental wherewithal to understand, all right, this guy that we've talked about all week that's going to be back here extending plays and running around buying time, that's what he's doing, even though I can't see it. So I've got to stay with this guy because at any point in time, his head and eyes get big and hands go up, and I got to be there.
We'll do 2 more questions for Justin.
I have an odd question here. I've talked with Carlton Davis a little bit about this. Do you tell guys who, and it's by the smile, like Carlton's kind of an interesting dude.
Yes.
I've been asking him about, do you tell defensive backs, cornerbacks to wear a certain color of glove when you're going up against, like, are you wearing white gloves when you're going up against team with white jerseys, or is it just like guys can do whatever they want to do?
We're in a day and age. I was kind of like this. My last year playing was 2008, where it was like fashion was starting to be like super important. I could tell them whatever. I could tell them wear any color gloves I want. They're going to wear the gloves they feel like look sweet on Instagram. So I could say that. But at the end of the day, if we're playing a team, they don't like the color, they're not going to wear those colored gloves. But, I mean, the thing about that is I've heard that from a lot of places, a lot of people. But at the end of the day, there's certain stuff you can get away with, and there's certain stuff that you can't. I could have any color gloves, whatever color match the jersey. If I'm extended, tugging the guy, restricting him, I'm getting flagged. And if I don't like the color of their jerseys, then I'm getting flagged with ugly gloves on.
Thinking about
Last question for Justin.
defensive communication, just the secondary as a whole, and the low red zone from this last game. Probably a couple things maybe that you'd want to tighten up. What is your thought on that, and how do you go about it?
Certainly, we not want to tighten that up. We have to help our team. We have to do that and be better in the red zone for our part in the secondary. But the communication aspect, I mean, you look around the league, and it's funny because we just talked about hands-on receivers. I mean, it's if we're talking basketball, a lot of these plays are flagged for moving screen, but it's not our job to complain about it. It is what it is, and the entire league sees it. We just have to rep it and keep going over it and showing it and understanding the situations when it comes up, and we got to make those plays. Like, at the end of the day, we got to figure it out. However we get it through as coaches to the players, or the players get it executed, communicate with each other. We have to make those plays. We say in the red zone we don't want to let teams run it in. If we don't want to let them run it in, then we have to execute in 1-on-1, 2-on-2, or 3-on-3 coverage situations. So we have to own that and get that fixed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks a lot, Justin.
Right.